Do you ever want to dive deeper into the Bible, but you just don't know where to begin or struggle to feel like you have the time? When you read the Bible, do you get frustrated because you know there's so much more in there, you just have no clue how to get it out? Or maybe you want to know the Bible better and you are just looking for any resource to help. Well, then this is the podcast for you. Welcome to the Context and Color of the Bible podcast. We're two sisters.
I'm Veronica.
I'm Erica, and we love to study the Bible, but we also love to help others understand it better. And we have found that when it comes to our own study of Scripture, bringing back the context adds to the understanding. It actually adds color to the black and white pages of the text.
I'm taking the microphone.
Take it.
Going with it.
I'm used to it.
I know. I did call Erica about an hour ago and go, because Erica texted and she's like, it's constant thunder rumbling right now. And I'm like,
Loved it.
It was cool, but it was a downpour.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And hail.
And I was getting a little hail on it as I was driving over here. And then I was thinking, do they have the garage door open for me so I can park as close to the garage?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Nope.
It wasn't raining. It had
Stopped.
yeah. So I was good.
My kids were worried.
Were they about me?
Aunt Ronnie, maybe.
I know. I was worried too. But it slowed down, but it was a pretty good downpour. So, but before we get started, we do want to say in about a month,
Yep.
Erica is a retreat speaker for, what did you say, Bryan?
Action Camp.
Life Action Camp.
Lifeactioncamp.org. Erica, it's a mother-daughter retreat.
Yep.
September
15th through the 17th.
15th through the 17th. I'm going to repeat it because I have the microphone. So those of you in the Niles, Buchanan,
South Bend.
area, Michigan, Illinois, you are more than welcome to come register.
Yay.
Join Erica. She'll have all three girls.
Yep.
That means Bryan gets a boys' weekend
Woohoo!
with a 13-year-old and a 6-year-old.
We'll find some trouble to get
Lots
into.
of Legos,
A
Nerf
warm
guns. Yeah. I did hear somebody wants a Nerf gun for his birthday.
Mm-hmm.
So. But those of you in that area, if you want to come hear Erica in person, you are more than welcome to jump on lifeactioncamp.org, register. But also, that means Erica is available as a retreat speaker. We've promoted her as a women's retreat speaker, but she's also a mother-daughter retreat speaker.
Yep. I do have daughters.
Yes, she does.
And I
3
was
of
a
them.
daughter.
Yes. I was the better daughter, though. I'm the oldest. I was the favorite. We all know it's true.
No, what Mom said.
She's not here, so I can say yes, she does. Because Bryan will probably agree with me. The oldest is the best.
Yeah, I think so.
I think so. Because we're more organized.
Mm-hmm.
We're more
Responsible.
responsible.
And so humble.
Yes.
The humblest.
Yes. So from one oldest, I will pass it over to the other oldest and say, take us back to Habakkuk.
Okay. Well, we're continuing through chapter 2.
Mm-hmm.
And how much review do we want?
Give a 1-minute summary.
Okay. Habakkuk is living in a tumultuous time. His society is falling apart. He's frustrated. He feels like he looks around and just sees violence, wickedness, evil within his own community, his own country. And chapter 1 is him crying out to God. It's a personal conversation between Habakkuk and God. And he asks God one question. Essentially, God, how long are you going to stay silent? God gives a response in chapter 1 and says, oh, don't worry. You think this is bad? It's about to get worse.
Not encouraging.
Then Habakkuk, takes a couple steps back, says, well, okay, if this is the situation, God, like how can the wicked consume the righteous? Because God is saying it's going to get worse because I'm sending the Babylonians, and they're going to come through and make your bad situation worse. And Habakkuk's like, how is this a solution? Like the Babylonians are worse than we are.
Mm-hmm.
How can that be? Question number 2. And question number 3 is, if this is true, are they just going to keep on going unchecked forever? Are the Babylonians? If you're not going to stop them for your own people, God, who's to ever stop them? Is God turning on this doomsday machine that is unstoppable? So there's those three questions are how I look at chapter 1. As we entered in and already walked through the first part of chapter 2, I think God, he gives a response to question 1, how long is he going to stay silent? And the answer is, I am acting, I'm moving, Habakkuk. Even though you can't see it, trust that it's happening. And his answer to question 2 is, are they going to, these people are even worse than we are. Well, that's where God brings up the two examples between the righteous and the wicked. We looked at that in the previous episode. But the remaining question still lingering out there, are they going to continue on unchecked forever? And that's what the rest of chapter 2 addresses. Will the Babylonians, are they some unstoppable doomsday machine? If you're not going to stop them, God, for your own people, is that going to, just mean they go on forever and ever? And God answers that. Does that make sense?
Yep. I like that.
Okay.
It was longer than a minute, though.
Sorry.
It's a minute in the VanHaitmsa world.
Yeah.
So we're picking up at verse 6.
Verse 6.
And we're going to cover 6 through 11 today.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So let me read verse 6. God is still speaking. He's answering Habakkuk. Shall not all these, this is the ESV, shall not all these take up their taunt against him with scoffing and riddles for him? We'll stop there. So we have to parse out who's being taught. Yeah, who's the him? Who's the these?
Because I actually have in Natty's Bible, it says them.
Mm-hmm.
Not that that's a version of the Bible.
I like.
I think it's New Living. Yeah.
I like the ESV because it leaves a bit of the Hebrew ambiguity there.
Okay.
And to figure out who is the these and who is the him, I think you go back to the previous couple verses. In the previous verses, essentially back up in 4 and 5, we're talking about the him in all of these cases is the wicked person. His soul is puffed up. It's not upright within him.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Moreover, wine is a traitor, an arrogant man never at rest. His greed is as wide as Sheol. He gathers for himself. And here's the other key. We're talking about the him as this wicked person. Mm-hmm. He gathers for himself all the nations and collects as his own all peoples. Then we jump into verse 6. Shall not all these take up their taunt against him?
Okay.
So I think these are referring to all the nations. Mm-hmm. So it's picturesque language. We got to give a bit of a leeway here because God he's painting a picture. He's giving a more creative solution instead of just bullet point 1, bullet point 2. And what we see, so verses 6 and on, are this taunt that is poetically, in a picturesque way, is being brought to this wicked person, and it's done through the voice of the nations.
So it's more, a picture is worth 1,000 words.
Mm-hmm.
So by God painting a picture, then, is it saying more?
Yes, it's adding some meaning. So this is, if you're familiar with the concept of a chorus in a play.
Right.
There's this group of people that will come in and they will explain something. Especially in Greek plays, you would have this group come in and then they would explain what's happening so it's very clear for the audience. Here's what's happening or what you're about to see. And there's types of choruses even in modern day. I like to look at movies for examples and show me a picture in a movie of how this plays out, and then I can take it to Scripture and see it. So a very apropos type of example is the Oompa Loompas in Willy Wonka.
Yeah, that's hate that movie, but I
They're-
totally get it.
So they're a chorus
Okay.
in that movie. They come in with their annoying song and they
Yeah.
sing about the lesson that this person was supposed to
Yeah.
learn. And in doing so, oftentimes the chorus will break the fourth wall. So they're speaking directly to the audience.
Right.
Now, take that same concept here in Habakkuk 2. God is using the nations, the ones that are getting steamrolled by the wicked Babylonians. He's using these nations to rise up and become a chorus to teach the wicked the lessons that they are
Okay.
to learn. So that's what's going to unfold in the remainder of the chapter.
Okay.
And it's broken out into 5 oracles, 5 woe oracles. So you can imagine now the nations, like the Oompa Loompas, are going to come out 5 times and sing their songs.
I know.
Like,
That'll be a fun
okay.
graphic.
Yeah. Don't make me sing. I don't. But that's how you can understand this chapter.
Okay.
And now that helps you picture it. But a couple tools that are helpful is, what is a woe oracle? And this isn't just an issue for Habakkuk. You're going to see it in other prophets. It was a form of curse, a type of curse that would be brought out. And the woe, here's another possible graphic for you.
Okay.
There's 3 elements to a woe, and they're pretty easily identified in all 5 of
Okay.
the woes here. First, it's the woe is stated, like what it is.
Okay.
The second one is the threat that's going to come about, the punishment,
Okay.
and then the reason why. So the woe statement, the threat that unfolds, and then the reason why the woe statement is.
And if you're
happening.
not seeing the word woe in your version, go find a version, because ESV has woe. NIV has woe. The New Living does not have woe. That'll help people
Yes, yeah, look
find
at
it faster.
Yeah, definitely check
Okay.
out some versions there.
in case you don't have the word woe.
And
And is that those 3 things, is that for every woe in Scripture or just these 5 right now?
definitely it applies to these 5. There are, I would say, these are guidelines.
Okay.
You may not see them always in every instance.
Okay.
But you're going to see these elements typically are addressed if it's a woe oracle.
Okay.
And I know it sounds technical. It sounds like, hey, I'm not in seminary. Why do I care about this? My hope for you, listeners, is that you get tools so that you can come to a scripture passage. Perhaps it's in Psalms. Perhaps you're in Isaiah. And then it's a little bit less
Daunting.
foreign or daunting. Like, now you can say, oh, this is a woe oracle. I want to look for these 3 elements and see where they are, because then you start to have a framework that you can interpret
Right.
why,
Right. 'Cause
interpret what's being said.
understanding some of the Old Testament gets so hard, and especially some of these prophets, it's like, I don't get it.
Yeah.
So if I know, okay, I see the word woe,
Mm-hmm.
then I at least know what I should be looking for or finding or understanding as I read it.
Yes.
So, okay.
And then with a woe oracle, essentially what the writer or the speaker is communicating is the person I'm speaking a woe to is as good as dead. It comes from a lament. It's like a mocking lament.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
That's why they categorize it under curse, because it's as if you're projecting
Doomsday.
Yeah, you're going to die.
Okay.
And it's this ironic lament for one who is as good as dead.
Jesus uses the woe.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Woe
yeah,
to
woe to
you,
you,
scribes.
Chorazin.
And, yeah, and in Matthew 23, woe to you, scribes.
They
Yeah,
have Matthew
it's to-
memorized.
And ultimately, it's to get attention. It's to
Okay.
get the attention of the audience.
Because it's a word that grabs your attention then.
Yeah.
And then you kind of listen and know.
And this isn't woe as in hold the horses back, woe. It's woe as in I'm
could be a fun graphic,
grieving.
too.
I'm-
Okay.
okay.
So that's what we're getting into now is.
Yeah. And there's 5 in the remainder of this chapter. We'll cover 2 quickly and then save the last 3 for next week.
Okay.
So the second half of verse 6, woe to him who heaps up what is not his own. Okay. So we can already identify the first element is the woe statement, identifying the party. Well, it's people who take stuff, essentially. Thieves. And verse 7, will not your debtors suddenly arise? Oh, let me back up.
Yep.
So woe to him who heaps up what is not his own. For how long? And loads himself with pledges. It's important. Will not your debtors suddenly arise, and those awake who will make you tremble? Then you will be spoil for them, because you have plundered many nations. All the remnants of the people shall plunder you. So if you look at the 3 elements, the woe statement is woe to those who load up on pledges and take stuff that isn't theirs. So anyone who's under that umbrella, woe to you. And the threat is you're going to be spoil.
Okay.
You are going to be plunder.
You reap what you sow.
And that's the general pattern in all of these.
Okay.
Is there's an ironic punishment for each of the groups that are identified for the woe statement, and it all fits with their particular sin.
Okay. Kind of like Haman getting hung on Mordecai's gallows.
Yes.
Okay.
So these people have not only stolen, but people have taken loans out and they've given pledges, and the Babylonian, the wicked person that the nations are singing about, are saying, he's saying, I want that collateral. Basically, you took out a 30-year fixed rate mortgage on your house, and in year 1, the bank says, we want all our money or we're taking your house.
Okay.
You're like, wait, I have 30 years to get this paid off. And they're saying, nope, it's ours. And they're just doing that on a national scale. So, and what that would have done in the ancient world is not only do you get their stuff, you get the collateral, but it ends up turning people into slaves because they would go into
because you can't pay it off.
Debtor's prison. So now you have not only their collateral, but also them as slaves to do with as whatever you would. So woe to those that are stealing these pledges. Well, what's going to end up happening is they are going to be plundered themselves.
And then but it's even going to be worse because you're getting plundered and now you're a slave.
Right.
Okay.
But what I was in this, the woe oracle, the threat that's coming back upon them is now, yes, they're going to be treated the way they were treating others. Okay. And then the reason is because they were plundering the land, the wealth, they were taking things. So here, the nations are saying the lesson you learn is don't increase your wealth by seizing other people's stuff. Don't force them into destitution. If you plunder, you will become plunder.
Okay.
The second one begins at verse 9. Woe to him who gets evil gain for his house, to set his nest on high, to be safe from the reach of harm. So this sets up this person now is, I call the woe number 2 is for the nest builder, the one who he's attempting to create this unreachable house way up on a hill. He's worried about his own security, his own prosperity and position. But the way he's doing it is through unjust means. You see in verse 10, you've devised shame for yourself by cutting off people. They're doing things to prop themselves up by stepping on other people.
Right.
You're going down while I go up.
Right.
And then that's the woe. The threat is that their lives are going to be forfeited. They are going to be shamed, and their security is going to turn into their liability.
Okay.
So what they're putting their hope in is actually going to be an anchor dragging them down.
Instead of going up high, you're going down low.
Yes.
Okay.
And the reason in verse 11 is, for the stones will cry out from the wall and the beams and the woodworks. Like the very building materials, I probably relating to the previous woe, are things that they stole, things that were taken. Well, now those building materials are actually going to cry out and protest. We don't want to be used by you because you grabbed us in unjust methods.
So God is saying this to Habakkuk about the Babylonians. The woe is coming.
Right.
Woe, you Babylonians who were building your houses up high and climbing on people. You're about to fall. Woe to you Babylonians. Am I
Yes.
getting that correct?
Yep.
Okay.
Good question. Did you have more?
No.
Yes. So let's take it up a level here. God is still answering those questions.
Are the wicked go on
are the
forever
wicked
and ever?
going to continue to go on forever and ever? And we see here he's starting to answer no. They will bring about their own destruction.
Okay.
It's oftentimes we see, as even in today's day and age, the life that is lived hell-bent on sin and wickedness ends up, like you said, you reap what you sow, and it has this whiplash effect where it ends up destroying you. And God is starting to answer this, and what's going to become clear by the very end of the chapter is that no, they won't keep on going forever because they're actually destroying themselves.
Okay. As they're on their path of destruction, destroying you, it'll eventually end in their own destruction.
Right.
We're just not all the way down the path yet.
Right.
Okay.
But yes, good clarification.
Okay.
So hopefully that's giving a framework and setting up. This is the pattern. Now there's 3 more woes yet to go through, and they become a bit more pointed. But I think that
Is that good for today?
Yeah.
Because to me, what I didn't like about chapter 1 was there was never any hope. And part of it was because God didn't answer the questions really. And now he's spelling it out to Habakkuk and saying, it will come. That destruction, the wickedness will end. There is a time.
Yep.
You're just not all the way to the end of their story yet.
Yeah.
Which I kind of like that idea of.
Right.
Justice comes.
Yes.
Retribution comes.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's it. So next week, come back. If you want, in the next week, listener, look at the next verses 12 through 20 and see if you can figure out those 3 woes. Give us real quick the template you're looking at when you see a woe.
There's the
because I didn't write them down because I'm listening and not actively taking notes.
There's the woe statement, and then the type of punishment that's coming, and then the reason why. And they may or may not be in those orders on the remaining 3. So
Okay. That's
watch.
good to know. So those of you who want to try to do a little homework, read the rest of the chapter, try to find the woes and the 2 statements that go with it, and then come back next week
See if you were
and
right.
see if you were right.
Yeah.
And then jump on social media, Instagram, Facebook, and let us know.
Right.
We'd like to know those of you who are nerds like us. And
Yeah.
see if you were right and how well you did.
Which one is the one that's
Out of order.
has a different order?
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes it more fun. So thanks for joining us. As always, we do have social media, Instagram, Facebook. Erica has a website, VanHaitmsa.com. I have a website, VeronicaCopenhaver.com, where you can...
We are creative.
We are. Makes it easy to Google us.
Yep.
But you can interact. You can ask questions. And this way, it just helps. If you say, this didn't make sense, explain it more. Why did you say this and I didn't follow you? We love to answer those kind of questions. And if I can't answer it and Erica can't answer it,
We go to Bryan.
we do. There is often a thread with the 3 of us. It's like, hey, somebody else says, how would you answer?
Yep.
So we like questions. We like digging deeper. And we will talk to you next week.
Bye.